back to episode 30 of the MAINcast, presented by the Maine and the city of Santa Clarita. My name is Calliope, and I'm one of the co-hosts of the festival. The MAINcast is part of the International Stage on Screen Theatre Fest, which is an 8-week online theatre festival that presents plays from all around the world. This is week 7 of SOS, and this week's show is titled Knackered, which is presented by Onshirenish Theatre from Dublin, Ireland. Knackered will have 2 shows on Friday, the first at 7 p.m. GMT, which is 11 a.m. PST, and then we will be presenting it again at 7 p.m. PST. But if you want to participate in the talkback after the show, make sure you attend the earlier one because we will only have one talkback. I'm so excited to start this week's interview. We have a few cast and crew members from Onshirenish Theatre. Can I please have our lovely guests arrive?
Hello.
Hello.
Hey.
So can I please have you all introduce yourself and the role you do in the show?
Yeah, my name's Katie O'Halloran and I'm the director of the play.
My name's Amy Kidd and I'm one of the actors who plays various roles. We multi-role in the show. So I play Garda Lynch and then lots of other people from the village.
And my name is Éanna Grogan and I play all of the other people in the play.
That's awesome. So can you please tell us a little bit about your show?
Yeah. Who wants to do that? Katie, do you want to?
Yeah, maybe we'll all just kind of ping pong this answer, but yeah, just as the actors have sort of indicated here, the show kind of follows a multitude of characters. So these two play 2 guards or cops in Ireland, in a small fictional town called Dunabree, and there's been a crime committed that is sort of being pushed under the rug, or people are kind of attempting to erase the facts of what happened on the night of this crime. So we as an audience follow the guards interviewing all of the suspects. And it's kind of just this tangled web of a very tight-knit community trying to really just protect the reputation of the village. Yeah, I don't know if you guys want to add anything to that.
Hard to say much more than that because there are several twists and turns and you're not supposed to know everything. So I think that's probably all we can say, really. Éanna nodding along.
I think you hit the nail on the head if something said properly.
Perfect. So so you said that both of you play all of the actors in the show, or all of the characters in the show. Can you talk about what your process was like to rehearse for that?
Yeah, so I think individually that a lot of work before we even all came together, to make sure that each character was as vocally and physically different as they could be, within the confines of kind of obviously knowing that we were going to be in the Zoom format. So trying to be really specific about the quality of each individual person. I had several different accents. I think, Éanna, all of your characters were from Dunabree, weren't they?
Yeah.
So they had like different different voices characterfully, but I play an English character, some characters from Dunabree, and a character from South County Dublin as well. Éanna, do you want to take over from me for a little
all my Dunabree, yeah, I didn't have to do that many accents. I only had one accent, but I had to do a different kind of vocal quality for each one and push it to the extreme to start with as well in the rehearsal process. Zoom it's an entirely different medium to theatre, and sometimes it's harder for things to come across. You have to make some choices bigger and some choices have to be smaller. So with the vocal quality, really important differentiating that, so that people could actually see different characters when they were watching it, because it can be hard to tell when you don't have costume changes and scene changes to block that and you're looking at one face the whole time.
Yeah, kind of consider all of the different ways that we could make the characters different and then go with the simplest, cleanest way, I think was part of the work.
We also had
Yeah.
Éanna shave his face throughout the production, so Éanna has different facial hair for every character.
And that was essential as well.
Yeah, it was good. We had shave breaks.
Oh, that's awesome. Katie, do you want to talk more about how you directed just 2 people, but then you did a variety of characters? Like, what was your method?
Yeah, so I kind of just said from the start that I wanted to lean into the theatricality of the script, but also just kind of try to explore some of the theatrical elements that might be possible through this medium of Zoom. So everything is quite minimal in terms of costume changes. So a lot of the work that Amy and Éanna were doing in terms of physicality and vocal work, that's where the characters lie. Every character is differentiated aesthetically in terms of just with one costume piece. And we sort of just established like, okay, this person's wearing a watch and that's that character. That's all the difference that you get, really. But yeah, we sort of just kind of strung, my concept was to string everything together on a detective map, kind of a la Seven is what I kept saying in the day of table work. But so yeah, you see all of those costume pieces strung together on a map with red string, and then the actors would take each of those pieces and put them on, and then we were in that character for the next scene. So yeah, just kind of had fun exploring what was possible for this medium and how to still make it feel like theater.
That's awesome. I like the minimal approach, but also the very specific ways that the audience can tune into what's happening. So you all recently attended the Lear Academy. Can you talk about your theater education and how it led you to collaborate on this show?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Éanna and me were in the same year. We both did the acting BA. And yeah, so we were in a really small class. Each class of actors in the Lear is only 16 people. And when we graduated, we knew that we wanted to make work together. So we co-founded Onshirenish with a friend of ours, Una, who wrote the play and is also the producer. And so we'd been working away kind of for a year, and then I went in and met Katie, who was doing the directing course the year after we'd graduated. So we were never in the Lear as students at the same time, the 3 of us. And I worked with Katie on one of her projects. And then when we were talking about a director, Katie was kind of top of our list. Does anyone else want to say? And she said yes, and it was amazing.
Yeah, I was in a cohort of 4 directors just this past year. Yeah, kind of a wild whirlwind of a year getting an MFA in directing. Yeah, I worked on a devised piece of theater with Amy, which is how I met Amy. And I was laughing earlier because I actually still haven't met Éanna in person. I've only ever communicated with Éanna over Zoom. But Éanna was in a show that one of my fellow directing classmates had directed for his final thesis production, which is part of GradFest at the Lear. And I was like, okay, who's that dude? Really would love to work with him at some point. And I knew Amy already, and they're just both fantastic. And so I was very excited to jump into this project. It was great.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the lovely things about the Lear was that it's not just a school full of actors. It's, you have your stage technicians, you have your directors, every little facet of the industry all in this melting pot, and you keep those connections when you leave college as well, and it makes making work not only like really fun but a lot easier as well. There's not all of that preliminary grafting that you have to do to kind of make new connections and things like that. You've already made them just from being in the school.
Yeah, and it's really helpful as well to have an understanding of so many different parts that make up the machine of the industry, like, and knowing those people and having those friendships with people that aren't, not just actors being friends with actors, and not just directors knowing the directors. There's such a sense of community in the Lear that you have such an appreciation for everyone's role.
Yeah, definitely.
So can you talk about the comparison between the professional and the community theatre in Ireland? And then Katie, you're actually from the States, so how is it different than growing up here in the theatre community?
Éanna, you can probably speak best to the Irish community. I would say, like community theatre versus professional theatre.
There's a big difference. It's kind of a huge question, because theatre in general in Ireland needs more support. They don't teach it in school. There is a difference, but I don't really know.
Is it less accessible?
They are.
Is it accessible, or since there's not a lot of funding, it's not really encouraged? Like, you kind of have to go on your own path if you decide to work in theatre?
There's loads of community things as well, and there's plenty of amateur theatre. There's always that in most towns and everything. It's just hard to see. It's hard to see all of that coming back right now, when theatres in Ireland will definitely be closed until the summer.
It is probably worth mentioning, though, the extra, I think it's, apologies if I've got this wrong, but I think it's an extra 20 million that was just injected into the Arts Council in Ireland. So that's really positive. It was a really interesting time, that just as everything started shutting down and we went into, COVID pandemic crisis, obviously it hit our industry really hard, like a lot of industries, but at exactly the same time, the National Campaign for Arts Funding, who have been lobbying the government and the Arts Council to try and increase the funds and the opportunities within the arts, they were successful. So it's funny, there's suddenly more money and all the theatres are closed.
Yeah. And just for myself, the differences between the theatre community in the States versus Ireland, funding is a huge huge part of the difference, I would say. I think as well, though, just one of the reasons I wanted to move to Dublin was because of this kind of reputation for linguistic prowess that Ireland is so excellent in terms of just language, and music is always tethered to drama somehow, which I am a huge fan of. And I knew that if I studied here, I would have a really excellent training in terms of really mining text and finding every possible meaning in language. And I think just when I was able to see plays here in Dublin, that was something that always struck me. Was just this poetic, gorgeous way of crafting language and manipulating language. And also just, I've never been in a taxi cab where I've said, oh yeah, like I'm a theater director, and a cabbie has stopped speaking to me, which would happen to me in the States. So like, I have nothing, I don't know what to ask you after that. Whereas here it's like, oh, I saw Waiting for Godot, and I at this theater when I was this age, and it's my favorite play. And so people will speak to you about it, which is kind of a unique thing for an American director, certainly. So that's a huge difference, just the love of it, I think, language and theater and arts in general here.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely, in LA, if you say you're in theater, they're like, okay, everybody's in theater. But that's wonderful.
Yeah.
And it's so special, and it's so it's encouraged. So that's lovely. So Amy, you are one of the co-founders of this theater. Can you tell us more about your company and any other upcoming projects you're working on? Also, I definitely mispronounced it, so can you please repeat it?
So it's Onshirenish, and it's, I don't know if you knew that those are two Irish words. So don't feel bad about mispronouncing it. It means here and now in Irish. And Éanna actually is also one of the co-founders. So it was the both of us and Una Wall. And yeah, it's hard to tell in terms of what's coming next for us, because we're so new, and we founded in 2019, and we were literally, I think it was a week away from starting the rehearsal for our debut, what was going to be our debut show, which is a piece of new writing called Paler Still. And we were supposed to be taking that to the Brighton Fringe in the UK and the Edinburgh Fringe, and then doing it in Dublin. And yeah, then the pandemic hit, and we made the decision not to digitalize that, to kind of hold off, because we'd been working on it for such a long time. And we have a director called Jack Reardon, who will be directing that show. We have kind of a team, designers and stuff, and we just decided that we didn't want to compromise that. We wanted to just put that on hold. So I think the hope is that that's what's next for us, but none of us know how long it'll be till the theatres reopen. So who knows? I mean, if it's another lengthy period of time, we might end up doing another digital show. I think it's unlikely though. There's another couple of things. There's another thing that I can't really speak about because another company is involved and it's not been confirmed yet, but there are some bits and bobs. If people follow us on Facebook and go to our website, then they can keep an eye on us for sure. We're not going anywhere.
Good. You can talk about any other projects you're working on with yourself, or any personal projects that have to do with theater. Do you want to talk about that?
The other thing that I'm working on myself is the thing that I can't really talk about because it's not it's with
Okay.
What else? Oh, I'm doing a short film which it was supposed to be shooting in February, but it got postponed because of the pandemic and everything. Now it's supposed to be filming in May. But I actually have a meeting about that next week because it might be pushed again. But that's kind of a psychological thriller that I really love the script of, and I get to wear a wedding dress and run on the beach and do all sorts of fun things. So I'm really looking forward to getting to do that when it's possible.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Thank you.
Katie and Éanna, do you want to talk about what you're doing?
Yeah, I just sent off an application to make short film with a friend of mine, and I've no work lined up for myself at the minute. So I'll be grafting away for the next few months, I'd say, while we're waiting for things to reopen. Sorry, that's it.
I am directing a music video with a group of female artists in Ireland. So that'll be on Sunday, and then just kind of directing a few readings, which are all over Zoom, with American pals, and then working on some stuff in the UK and here as well. But yeah, just kind of devising as much as possible, trying to use this time to plant seeds, I suppose. and really sort of focus my craft in terms of thinking about it as a lens and just refining things, I suppose. Yeah, it's a bizarre time, but we're all gonna be fine. I've chosen not to worry about it anymore.
Exactly.
We're all it'll be grand, as they say here. It'll all be grand.
So do you guys want to leave us with some closing words or anything that you're excited about for the audiences to see in your production on Friday?
Ooh.
I'm really excited to see what people think of it, actually, because we had originally sort of intended it to be done on the stage, and we had to adapt it and kind of work around it and think about how to change even just some of the scenes, like the intention between the characters kind of change and shift a little bit. So it'll be really interesting to see what the feedback is like. And then hopefully we'll get to do it for real one day and then compare the two.
I suppose that's what we should have said really when we were talking about what's next for us. Like, we are intending to put this on a stage as soon as we can as well. So it'll be really nice to learn from this version of it, this digital version. Yeah. Hope people like it.
Too, like our sound designer Ian Faulkner did really great work just in terms of the sound, and Una's script is great as well. So just excited to showcase that work as well as, you know, the three of us being here. So yeah, the team is great. Just good folks.
Good vibes.
Yeah.
Well, that is so wonderful. We're so excited for the production this week. So thank you so much to Katie, Amy, and Éanna for joining me today. It was so lovely to meet you all. And thank you to our audiences who watch the MAINcast every week. So please tune in to watch Knackered this Friday, March 5th at 7 p.m. GMT, 11 a.m. PST, with a talkback following the performance. And then you can also watch it again at 7 p.m. PST, and it will also be on Facebook Live. So the Zoom link is the same every week. You can find it on our Facebook page. And don't forget to check out the other events we have at the Main, including 10 by 10, food sessions, and New Heights. Again, thank you all for being here, and we will see you on Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you.